What's good, YouTube? It's your boy TSO Sage and I'm back with another video. Now, often what I do when I'm not uploading is rewatching my old videos. I try to see how I could do them better. And as I'm running through some videos, I notice I haven't done a Legend of Kevin Durant video. And in fact, when I often refer to Kevin Durant, I'm talking about when he doesn't comb his hair, when he doesn't put lotion on. So initially I was like, okay, let me fire up a Legend of Kevin Durant video. But then something else came to my mind. And that is when you really focus on Kevin Durant's legacy and really think about what he's done in the NBA, in terms of greatness or all-time legacy, Kevin Durant, if he's not already underrated, has the highest chance of all the hymns in the NBA right now of being criminally underrated. And I know for some of you guys, you're like, what? And think I'm just sounding crazy. Well, in this video, I'm gonna explain why I feel this way. And hopefully I do end up sounding crazy, because I would hate for one of the greatest talents the NBA's ever seen to just not be recognized for what he's accomplished.
For the longest time, that the good guy was Kevin Durant. The villain was Russell Westbrook. We had it in reverse, Skip. You decided to move on. Okay, live with that decision. But I just don't understand why he continuously talk about it like, well, this is why I did it. Who cares?
Tracy, do you agree that the media has created this beef?
I think some of it is true, what he was talking about. It happened to me with Vince when I left Toronto. You know, they kind of stirred the pot a little bit of some of the things I said. But KD causes on himself. I mean, if we're brothers, what you claim to be as teammates, taking up for me in the media, calling me you little bro, making me stop what I'm about to say when Mark Cuban calls me out and take over the interview and say he's an idiot. We formed a brotherhood over those 8 years. I suspected that you owe me the respect to tell me that you were going to leave. For him not to tell Westbrook that he was leaving was kind of a slap in his face.
You talking about just some hurt feelings?
You didn't even have the decency to see him face to face, man to man, and tell him. You decided that he was going to find out like everybody else found out with the news. For months, people were saying to Russell Westbrook, he left because of you. Russell Westbrook's too selfish. Russell Westbrook doesn't want to pass the ball. Russell Westbrook wants to be the alpha male on the team. Kevin Durant ain't down with that. He wasn't going to win, blah, 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 blah. You put the character of Russell Westbrook under a microscope as if he were responsible for one of the top two greatest players on the planet departing from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Same Kevin Durant that I could sit here and praise till the cows come home left his brother hanging. And you don't do that to your brother.
Now you see the thumbnail, let me get the obvious one out the way. The first reason why I believe Kevin Durant will one day become underrated is because of his reputation. One of the many blessings I got from becoming a YouTuber is now I truly get to see which fan bases are more toxic than others. And I'm not gonna hold you. Bron fans are definitely still #1, but I'm telling you Russ fans are a strong #2. So when Oklahoma City time and time again just disappointed, and Kevin Durant couldn't promise that he's gonna stay in OKC, the media done already spun it to KD turning his back on his best friend Russell Westbrook, which is pretty messed up because the NBA is a business. If this was rec basketball, yeah, you could call Kevin Durant wild for just saying, yeah, nah, Russ, I can't win with you, bruh. But considering his decision to stay or leave OKC factors not only his legacy, but it factors where he's gonna live, where he's gonna play, the kind of money he's gonna make, and various other opportunities, it was a bit crazy to be like, oh, well, if he's not staying in OKC, he's betraying his best friend. That's wild. And the reason why I say it's media driven is because when James Harden comes out and says, oh, I want to play with John Wall, and the Rockets go on to trade Russell Westbrook, who's James Harden's best friend, for John Wall, just for James Harden to barely even play with the dude, nobody looked at James Harden different, or at least as much as they did KD. So yeah, Kevin Durant's reputation was already a little bit ruined for no reason, just because he simply didn't commit to the Thunder off rip. But then, and I know you guys were ready to go, oh my God, Sage, how could you forget that? Kevin Durant not only leaves OKC, not only backstabs Russell Westbrook, he goes to the team that beat the shit out of him. And let's just say, nobody liked that shit.
This is what I don't understand, Skip. He was up 3-1, they lost. Golden State was up 3-1, they lost. He said, had they won, I wouldn't have gone there. Why? What difference does it make? You went to a stacked team, whether they won or lost. They're still the prohibited favorites to win the title. They were going to be the favorite again, with or without Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant heading to the Golden State Warriors. How are you viewing this move from Durant?
Well, I'm viewing it as the weakest move I've ever seen from a superstar. Plain and simple. That's just how I look at it. They were up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals. Not one, not two, but 3 different times. He was 48 minutes removed from getting to the NBA Finals by winning the Western Conference. And you depart for the team that beat you? I think it's incredibly weak.
I wanted him to stay in Oklahoma City. I want competitive balance. I don't like super teams. I want guys to compete. Our era really never had the opportunity of free agency the way it is set up today. Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan and Larry Bird had great influence. And if those guys got on the phone, I don't know what guys would have done.
Listen, I guarantee you, those calls never happened because the guys before them competed.
Now, I think I've told you guys this in the past, but in case it was on like a stream or I haven't said it at all, I was never really that mad at Kevin Durant. Was the move weak? Yes. Would I have done some shit like that? No. Would I justify another superstar doing it in the future? Hell no. Please do not do what he did. I do think what he did was wrong in terms of like, bruh, you really just did that shit. But was I mad at Kevin Durant? No. Or if anything, I wasn't as mad as you guys were. I know a lot of people to this day that still hate Kevin Durant. Like if Kevin Durant walked past them, they wouldn't dap him up, wouldn't try to take a picture with him, they'd boo him. I know some of y'all gonna be like, oh yeah, bro, I'd fight him. No, you would. But either way, people to this day still don't like Kevin Durant and still resent Kevin Durant for what he did. Dog, it happened like 5-6 years ago. But regardless, for KD's entire tenure in Golden State, he was viewed as such a villain that the Warriors themselves were viewed as villains. Mind you, the Warriors have the babyface assassin, one of the most likable superstars in NBA history, and an even more likable co-star. Who hates Klay Thompson? That's a really weird guy to hate. Draymond, I'll admit, people didn't like Draymond anyway. It wasn't that hard. But again, unless you were a Bron fan at the time, nobody really hated Golden State. But Kevin Durant's reputation was so negative at that point, as well as the fact that they were so good it wasn't even fair, turned them into the villains of the NBA. So much so that the dude tears his Achilles and the stadium erupted.
Durant grabbing that right leg. It's the right calf.
I'm not about to lie for the content. I do defend that situation a bit more than others because the way I saw it, most of the Raptors fans were just so hyped that they actually have a shot of winning the game that it was just their initial reaction to get hyped. They didn't really comprehend the fact that, oh my God, that grown man tore his Achilles. He can't walk. But don't get me wrong, I'd be a fool if I implied that there weren't people around the world or in that arena that genuinely weren't like, yes, Kevin Durant got hurt. Let's go. You paying for your sins, bruh. I plan on adding diversity soon, but right now I'm definitely an NBA YouTuber. And even I gotta admit, a lot of times in this community, y'all take yourselves way too seriously. It is never that serious. I just want to say that. But obviously, I haven't covered every single snippet of how bad people don't like Kevin Durant, but I'm just painting the picture as to how bad his reputation is. That scares me to believe that Kevin Durant could one day be underrated in the future. But a bad reputation won't solo Kevin Durant's career. Let's talk about something on the court. Look, you can believe me now or later, the way StatHead Twitter is set up and the way the NBA community really views things in general, as time goes on, Kevin Durant's OKC career is not gonna age well. And while on one hand it's Kevin Durant, so there's amazing things to see, such as scoring titles, MVPs, and I know as time moves on it's not going to be something so fantastic, but having a 50-40-90 season in 2012-13 is crazy. But on the other hand, no cap, there's a lot of people sussing that career in OKC out. Didn't accomplish that much outside of losing in 5 games in the finals and then blowing a 3-1 lead to Golden State. And if you look at the numbers, they're not as good as you would think Kevin Durant would be in the playoffs. So there's definitely mixed reviews on how good Kevin Durant was in Oklahoma City, but if you're asking me personally, I'm more on the positive side, because let's not use numbers without context. While Kevin Durant had already established being a great talent, averaging 30 points in his 3rd season, I'm not about to kill the man for a playoff debut, let alone a playoff debut against the eventual champions, let alone a playoff debut against the Lakers. A lot of people called the late 2000 Celtics the original super team, and the Lakers arguably had a better roster than that. Kevin Durant definitely wasn't amazing that series, in fact, far from it, but I think that's a bit cruel to kill him for that. The following season, he makes the playoffs and goes against Denver, has an amazing series. He runs into Memphis, and I don't care about any stat whatsoever. That defense was crap. And while if you look at the averages alone, they don't do him that much justice, screw my opinion, quite literally look at the series itself game by game. You'll see he had an up and down series rather than a series of consistently being locked up. Hell, to close out the series, Kevin Durant dropped 39. But his 3-point shot definitely was a bit shaky the past 2 series, and a lot of people were just assuming after he just shot 4 or 9 from 3 that he was back on timing and the Oklahoma City Thunder would just quite literally outrun the Mavericks. Yeah, that's not how shit went down. And while there's definitely going to be a time where I talk about how underrated that Mavs team was during their actual run, and honestly how they're still underrated today, Kevin Durant was only impressive for game 1 and arguably game 2. And while the rest of the series the games were close, KD definitely didn't play well. So despite me thinking Dallas is really, really good, if Kevin Durant's a superstar or an elite scorer, maybe not to the same type of timing as he normally is, but I expect him to not be this bad against a good defense. I don't care. Personally, I do hold him a bit accountable for this series, especially knowing if you're just a snippet of yourself in this series, you probably win in 5 like everybody was expecting. The following season, Kevin Durant was on absurd timing and made it all the way to the finals with a 23-year-old superstar lost to LeBron James. Totally a failure, facts, yo. The next season, he faces the Rockets and the Grizzlies without Russell Westbrook. And while we give Russ a lot of shit today, bro, that's like literally his co-star. And considering James Harden had departed as well, you were looking at 2013 Reggie Jackson, 2013 Kevin Martin, Serge Ibaka, and Double. Yeah, I don't think it was a mystery for who wants to score for the Thunder. Despite this though, Kevin Durant does have a good series against Houston. Thank God he knows how to score inside the arc. But the Grizzlies just weren't having it. They got him packed up. Again, and especially against that defense defense. Without the offensive help, I cannot kill Kevin Durant for doing it by himself, bro. I cannot do it. But if you can, at least acknowledge that he was indeed alone. And don't give me no shit about Reggie Jackson in 2013, please. The next season with the now healthy Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant and the Thunder do make it past the Grizzlies, although KD's three-point shot still struggles. So I guess Memphis fans can hold that over KD for the rest of his career. The shot wouldn't stay lost for too long though, because against the Lob City Clippers, KD was damn near unstoppable. But then he goes against the Spurs, and that's where things get a bit shaky. Because for the most part, you could just say the better team won. But you could look at KD's game 1 and be like, well, that fourth quarter though. You could also look at game 6 and look at KD and Russ for that overtime. And in both those games, KD got 6-7 turnovers. But then on the flip side, game 1, are you about to look at Kevin Durant for the reason you lost? You got blown out and he shot really well. I think it's safe to say there were some other reasons as to why you lost the game. And then game 6, I mean, let's keep it a stat. Outside of hitting the 2 free throws, Russ in the closing moments of game 6 was not that good. Literally 1 play, 1 bucket, 1 non-turnover from Russell Westbrook, and who knows, the Thunder could have a ring. But when you look at this series alone and you factor any relevance on how good the Spurs were against Miami, me personally, I just think the better team won, but I know it always has to be somebody's fault. So the fact you could blame either KD or Russ and have a valid argument does make judging that series a bit tricky, and maybe that's another reason why KD's gonna be overlooked. Because if you're judging Kevin Durant for this series, the next time Kevin Durant's in the playoffs, oh my god. Kevin Durant would miss the 2015 playoffs with an injury. He returns in 2016, and apparently it's Wardell's world. But before facing the now 2-time MVP, he would go against Dallas, and oh my god, he won? Thank God he's a hell of a mid-range shooter, because against the Spurs, his three-point shot would not return either, but he did look much better, and they do pack the Spurs up as well, which honestly, everyone was pressed he won the series, because the anticipation behind the Golden State versus Thunder matchup was crazy. The 2 best players in the West, the 2 best duos in the West, the 2 best home crowds in the West, and while they weren't exactly the 2 best seeds, the Thunder did beat the 2 seed to get here. The hype was definitely there until the Thunder went up 3-1, because it was so mind-blowing that the 73-9 Warriors were getting cooked. KD at the time was having an up and down series. Still ain't get that 3 ball back. We ain't gonna talk about it though. But outside of game 2, Curry just wasn't being that guy he was all season. And Russ was on timing. Low key, Kevin Durant was kind of getting bailed out. And I don't even need to talk about what they were saying on ESPN and First Take and other medias. I remember going to school, and if there was one thing we all agreed on, whether you think KD's been bad so far or not, nobody's gonna care if he goes to the finals and has a good series against LeBron James. For those of you that are about to go, oh my god, you're about to dick suck LeBron, I'm not doing nothing of that nature. But let's keep it a stack. It was all over the place on how LeBron James should have been the 2015 Finals MVP, and he lost. The perception around LeBron James at this point in time was literally built different. And this is why, as casual as this is about to make me sound, I hold this against KD like a motherfucker, because he really could have gotten away with being so bad this entire playoff run if he just closed out the damn series.
Momentum will change just like that. Curry behind the back. Curry is fending momentum off, saying we're going to keep this lead. Yes. Curry met by Westbrook. Here's Curry. Yes. Robertson is fouled out. Yes. Third. For Durant, his first. A three-pointer. Rhythm, the ball handling, the shooting. You see that it seems like he just is not comfortable. Thompson, yes. Curry on the move. Met by Durant, and he pulls it back. Thompson wide open for 3. From beyond that three-point line, here is Thompson, has been on fire, and he hits again. And the ball slows down. Mark. All right, here is Thompson again. 8-point lead for the Thunder. Here's Thompson, who just checked back in and knocks down a 3. Thompson, a rainbow 3, keeping it alive for the new possession. Thompson turning and shooting. And knock it down. A long 3 for Thompson, and that is an NBA record. Westbrook stumbling, lost it. Again, it is Iguodala. Thompson fires for 3, yes! Curry, met by the switching Adams. Curry fires, yes! Have dominated tonight, 11 of 21. Here's Curry, yes! 4-point lead for the Warriors. Curry over Durant, yes! Curry with the short pop, yes! Here's Curry splitting through and scores on a scoop. On strong here, Thompson for 3. Thunder, nice move by Curry to the rim, and Curry will dribble it out. Mass hysteria here at all.
So now what do we make of Kevin Durant's career in OKC? Surely it can't be a good thing. His 3-ball was trashed the whole damn time. He never got the job done, and there's some situations where he quite literally choked. But such a harsh perspective, although some reality is in it, that's why I fear he'll be a bit underrated. I see Kevin Durant in OKC as a story of up and downs, because as I just gave such a negative take on KD's career there, I could easily say Kevin Durant was a 2-time MVP and scoring champion, that whenever he had Russell Westbrook in the postseason with him, was a team that made the Western Conference Finals or made the finals themselves, except the first time he got there, and even then he lost to Kobe, so what the fuck. But you see how those are two completely different standpoints that are both valid with reasoning behind them? It just simply takes you being on the negative side, or even if you're on the positive side, to factor in his reputation, you could easily just not fuck with what he's accomplished, if you even believe he's accomplished much. And this brings me to my next, shortest, but arguably most meaningful point. Nobody gives a shit about Kevin Durant's prime. And it's crazy because he's really still in his prime right now. And in regards to the season we're currently in, people recognize that Kevin Durant is a legit MVP candidate, if not favorite. And I'm not just some guy that's gonna act like Kevin Durant is always a victim. Truthfully speaking, most people recognize his talent. But once the conversation moves from talent to greatness, whole different ball game. Because in terms of Kevin Durant's legacy, nobody's gonna respect a 100% healthy Nets championship. Whether it's cap for my potential reply or just people that genuinely disagree, you can try to lie to yourself all you want to. That's perfectly fine. But if Kevin Durant wins this 3rd championship and hypothetically never won again, retired or something like that, and his 3 rings went Golden State, Brooklyn, again, we know what the narrative is going to be. And the worst part about it is in the beginning of the season, we tried our absolute hardest to really go out there and be like, you know what, if he does win, that's legit. The Warriors were going to be a threat. The Suns were just in the finals. The Lakers made a super team. And hell, the Bucks just beat the Nets. But as time went on and Kevin Durant, let alone the Nets, start playing better and better basketball, all without Kyrie Irving, and especially if the Nets go on to have that success and win the championship, oh, the hindsight takes are gonna fly. Now that Suns pick is looking more, yeah, the Suns might go ahead and even make the championship if they even get past Golden State. But bruh, the Nets are a super team. If they don't win, it'd be a nasty upset. And if they do win, who's shocked? Good Lord, we don't need to talk about the Lakers anymore. If Kevin Durant loses to just LeBron, that's tough. The Nets should win that too. And you know, maybe the Bucks did get lucky. The series was already close as is without Kyrie being there and James Harden being hurt. Then they make rules that essentially make it harder for James Harden to do what he does. Kyrie's not even here, and the Nets are still the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference? Yo, the messed up part about this one is the narrative is not only the Nets should beat the Bucks in this situation, but now we're gonna look at Giannis's ring a bit different because, oh, well, you got lucky, bro. And I'm not about to say that the NBA community is gonna adopt all of those takes. Hell, not too long ago, I did a poll and majority of you guys think the Bucks are gonna come out of the East. But truthfully, I just feel like Kevin Durant's in a situation where he can't win. Like, even if he beats the Bucks, unless he does it in an absurd fashion, which is always an outlier in these conversations, I just feel like people are gonna double back and say, well, he should have beat the Bucks anyway. Or that the Nets should just beat up on the team in the finals and it doesn't matter. KD can go on and win the ring, but he won't really win the ring, you feel me? Like, KD can't win. I feel like he's in a lose-lose situation. Therefore, another season with the prime Kevin Durant that nobody really cared about. Or at least another season to where no matter what Kevin Durant does, and no matter how much he succeeds, it won't really change how we view Kevin Durant in terms of all-time rankings and greatness. Oh, but Sage, what about the Warriors? You even brought them up earlier, and I respect that team. Oh, no. See, you got it backwards. Stephen Curry is the main reason people don't respect KD's prime. For obvious reasons, Warriors super team, blah, blah, blah. I'm not about to spin you guys back in circles. Just rewind what I said earlier. But it's not just that. I want you guys to really understand this in a really fucked up way. Every time Curry looks good, that makes a prime Kevin Durant look bad. Because remember in 2017 and 2018, hell, even 2019, people were like, oh yeah, KD's number 1, Curry's number 2. Of course, with every team with 2 co-stars on it, there's some people that think Curry was better. But come on now, y'all. Majority of the world was arguing between Kevin Durant and LeBron James for the best player on the planet. And with Curry not capturing an MVP, Curry not capturing a finals MVP, and Curry statistically not being on the same type of timing he was in 2016, not a lot of people, I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those people, so yay me, but not a lot of people were really out there arguing that Curry is even improving, let alone was he possibly better than Kevin Durant. We knew he deferred his game to KD, but that's about it. So now that Curry just got done shadow cloning 2016, if Curry goes out here and wins an MVP, or even wins the entire championship with him and Klay fresh off an injury, man, y'all already think less of those Warriors rings. Oh my God. And especially if he beat Brooklyn to do it. Oh my God. I know some of you guys probably think I'm reaching with the whole Curry point, but I promise you, there's already a lot of people out there that's saying Kevin Durant was never the best player on the planet. If people are about to relook at history and argue that Stephen Curry was always better than KD on Golden State, and he just deferred that much to make sure that Kevin Durant was happy and that he would get some easy rings? That's only gonna make things a lot worse than they already are, dog. Now, there is an argument that if Kevin Durant beats Golden State, he'll have that championship that people respect. For some of you, he'll solidify himself over Curry, and you might respect his other 2 rings a bit more than you already do. But the fact that the only way that Kevin Durant could potentially boost his legacy means that Curry makes the finals is crazy enough. But then we still gotta pray that people don't just harp on the fact that he's on a super team. Maybe given the context that he'd likely have to beat the Bucks to beat the Warriors, essentially taking out both Giannis and Curry, we might have some, and people will finally just give Kevin Durant the respect he deserves. But I'm telling y'all, they hate him, bro. I know I'm sounding cringe, but they hate him, bro. They might even give it to him and be like, oh, but he only won 1 ring. And obviously, if he wins and he's clearly out his prime, ain't nobody really tripping off that. Ain't nobody about to size that shit either. You don't hear people sizing Dwight Howard's ring, do you? So while a good amount of the takes that I shared in this video are obviously assumptions, you'll never know how people feel until it actually happens, right? But the chance that none of these assumed takes are even brought up, let alone are bought in or adopted by the NBA community, would be beyond shocking if you ask me. Not to mention the fact that we already know how you guys feel about Kevin Durant, how he's a snake that did the Brody so dirty. We've already seen the takes about Kevin Durant in the past, and we also know when we're comparing greats to greats, Kevin Durant's path to success has been a little bit easier than other greats. So it's just kind of scary to me, at least, that one of the 10 best talents we've ever seen in the NBA potentially become one of the more underrated greats of all time simply because of the situations and media that he had to play through. And that would really suck because you don't even have to like the guy, but at the end of the day, bro, that's Kevin Durant. Y'all know who he is, bro. But that's gonna do it for today's video. It's me, your boy TSO Sage.
Oh my God, you just assume this and that. You're wrong, you're stupid, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, definitely comment below how you feel. Maybe I've been tripping this entire time, whatever. Hell, I know there's some of you out there that just don't care. And there's even some of you that think Kevin Durant's gonna be overrated once it's all said and done. But I said my piece. I just hope most of you guys understand the premise of this video is assuming that Kevin Durant will become overrated. Therefore, assumptions are bound to be in the video, even though I added a good amount of facts. But alright, I'm dragging it now, no cap. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and stay blessed.